All right, what's up, folks? Sean, the average angler, and we had a long day of work, so we're getting a little bit of a late start on today's video, but I'm going to get it to you because that's what I'm trying to do. I told you I was going to do it, so I'm here doing it. Yes, I'm wearing my jersey. It was the closest thing to in the closet coming out in the garage that had long sleeves on it. It's not overly cold, but it's a little nip in the air. It's dark out. All right, so today we are following up on our deep fish again when they're in a funk. Down on the bottom, we're not seeing a lot of action. My situation was all the shad balls were down in deep water, so we're looking for reaction type baits to fish down there. And some of these yesterday, the chatterbait, the heavy 3/4 ounce chatterbait, which I have right here, little out of the ordinary for fishing that deep. And so is today's bait. Again, there's guys doing this and they're not going to talk about it too much, if at all. The rod I'm going to use for this is something like a iRod 753 in the Air series or Quirkus series, or maybe even the Crusher 734. Okay, doesn't have to be overly stiff, something a little parabolic but not quite crankbait like, so say a moderate fast, if you will. Okay, what is the bait? LV 500. Okay, now you can replace this with a metal bait, but this gives us the noise. And actually, the deciding factor really is figuring out, do they want the noise or not? Okay, that will decide whether we go with an LV type bait. We can go with a blade type bait, of which there's many styles, right? There's this one here. That is a Mega Bass. I'll put links to them in the description. You'll see that this has only double hooks on it. Okay, they'll stop shaking around. Not trebles, it's a double. Basically, so you can go on bottom and those hooks won't grab. There's another one. A little different, with a treble, blade on the back. And we're going to talk more about the LVs today than the blades. These are just some alternatives for you to use if they don't want the noisy one. They may want the blade style bait. Okay, techniques and fishing them and that kind of stuff is going to be the same. Okay, the LV 500, the reason for picking the LV 500 is it's a 3/4 ounce bait. Okay, these are noisy, as you all know, with the LV 500 and rattle bait. I'm going to give you a couple alternatives. All three of these have that same thing in common, okay? Just a tad lighter here is the Jackall TN70. Again, it's noisy. And this one, the Aruku Shad 75, which says it's 5/8, but it weighed the same thing on my scale as the LV 500, okay? All of these are great baits in shallow water. Well, I'm going to tell you they're all great baits in deep water too. Really, the difference is we now have to become patient enough to get it down to the depth that we need to fish. Okay, in my case this past Saturday, that depth would have been up to 50 feet. Now, the other thing you're going to need to have, and I got a comment yesterday about I did that and then it snagged and I lost my bait. Okay, well, you need to get yourself a lure retriever. Okay, this is basically a plug knocker. It can grab onto the hooks, but the idea is to knock the bait free. All right, this is a little one that I made, just an old rod butt with a reel on it with 80-pound braid. Okay, very, very effective at knocking baits out, getting your baits back. So that is my first warning when fishing on the bottom. And it doesn't matter, chatterbaits, LVs, TNs, vibrating baits, rattle baits, jigs. Quite honestly, it does not matter. It saves all of them, okay? Not saying it will get everyone back, because every once in a while, something's going to prove us wrong. All right, so we cast these out there, and the reason we're using these brands, you can use other brands, whatever your preference is, just these tend to be heavier, which means they're going to sink faster and get down to the bottom. And if you're waiting for your bait to get down in 30, 40, 50 foot of water, nothing's worse than sitting there waiting. So we want to get the bait down as quick as possible. Doesn't mean I want to go to a 1 ounce and a bigger profile, because I want this profile 9 times out of 10. All right, so we make the longest cast we can, wait for it to get down the bottom, and then we're going to yo-yo, okay? So yo-yo, let it go back to bottom, pick it up, let it go back to bottom. That's the retrieve everybody knows about, okay? I've got another retrieve for you, and this is the whole thing. We got blade baits, we got rattle baits. With the rattle bait, you can do more, okay? Some people like to call it the flop or the flip flop. Let it get down on bottom and they're hitting it just enough to flop it over. Well, when it flops over, it's reflecting, but it's also making a little noise. The third thing that I will do, and you can just do that, flip flop, flip flop, flip flop, see if the fish will come to it. A lot of times the fish will come to it and eat it right off the bottom. The other thing you can do is just shake it. Just shake it. So you're just causing a little subtle vibration down there with those BBs inside rattling on the bottom. Fish are very curious. They will come and look to see what's making the commotion. Then hopefully they eat it. Maybe you shake it for a bit, get attention, and then yo-yo it a couple times. The experimentation is part about dialing the fish in, okay? That's where we become heroes or zeros for the day, right? All right, so I told you the rod. I'm going to fish this on somewhere between 14 to 17 pound test. Again, the thinner line's going to get down a little faster, and I'm 100% fluorocarbon, by the way. But it breaks easier. Now, aside from the snags, I really don't feel like we need more than 14 pound test, and you can go down to 12 if you're feeling really gutsy. Look, I don't know if you guys have not used the Aruku shads, but they are phenomenal baits, okay? They're not real expensive. They're very good baits. They are supposed, and I haven't dove down there to test this theory, they're supposed to stand up on the bottom, like so. Let me take it out of this. Ah, son of a bitch, and the hooks are sharp. They're supposed to stand up like this on the bottom, okay? And they're supposed to fall like this. So we get multiple actions as out of the same bait. All right, so this is another way that we can approach those deeper fish, because look, we can all throw a jig down there, we can throw a drop shot down there, we can throw a swim bait down there, we can throw an eco rig down there. An eco rig falls fast, but sometimes they want a reaction. Okay, colors, I keep it pretty simple. Basically a shad pattern or the craw pattern. Okay, there's a couple different, all kinds of different shad patterns. This is a translucent, but it's got the reflective chrome there, and on the gill plate there's another, you know, sexy shad type color, but same thing, reflective on the gill plate here. If I can get that light to, well, anyway, you get the picture. It's reflective, okay? There's a whole bunch of different colors. Your region, some colors might work better than others, okay? We don't have much gizzard shad in the area where we're at. We have threadfin shad and all kinds of other bait fish. So try to match the hatch. Shad this time of year is really kind of hard to beat, because shad, we have it die off. It gets cold, some of the shad die off, and then it's feeding time. Okay. All right, Sean the Average Angler. I'm going to try and bring you another one tomorrow. You guys been good to me, liking, subscribing, leaving comments. I really enjoy that. I try to get back to everybody one way or another. Okay, even if I just put a little heart on your comment. All right. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe if you're new to the channel or you aren't subscribed yet. I really appreciate it. For those of you that are subscribed, just double check, make sure, because sometimes YouTube does that funky algorithm shit and they'll remove your subscription. We'll see you on the next one.